my favorite part of OSA graduations has got to be performances. So I'd like to start with a song. Dear OSA, I'm just kidding. Clearly in the theater emphasis, y'all. Do you even sing that song anymore? No? Nobody? That's sad. That makes me sad. But in all seriousness, it is an honor to be here. To say that Oakland School for the Arts had an impact on my life is an understatement, and I'm honored to be a part of this 12th commencement ceremony of OSA. I'd like to thank the administration, Governor Jerry Brown, for inviting me, but especially Ms. Menzies, for her ongoing support for not only my work, but all OSA alumni and current students, and commitment to preserving and advancing this special community. I'd also like to shout out a few teachers that are still here from when I was a student. There are still a few. Ms. McKenzie, vocal music. Miss Berwick, who has so much enthusiasm and love for this school and for every student who has ever been here. Miss Jones and Miss T. Miss Peters, who continually reaches out to support alumni. Mr. Smith, who is one of my favorite people to visit. He has the kindest soul, and I'm convinced that he can fix anything. When I was a student here, we lovingly called him Inspector Gadget. Mr. Taylor. Tay-Tay, we called him that too. Who actually left when I was here and came back and still somehow taught me enough math to get a good SAT score, despite my constant protests. Mr. Savage, who I actually have a couple short stories about, because his first year at OSA was also my first year, and I vividly remember him from the first day of school shouting something like, "Dance emphasis is about to be the best emphasis in this school, but you dancers better be ready to work," and then he hit the splits, and I'm pretty sure that at least 3 people dropped out of dance emphasis that day. I have to make fun of him. Mr. Savage, he used to make fun of me mercilessly, but I deserved it. You can't really tell now, but I was pretty punk rock back in the day, and I took myself way too seriously. So Mr. Savage lovingly referred to me and my friends as birth control. Mr. Savage is intense in everything he does, right? But most of all, he loves very intensely. Running into him downtown is one of my favorite parts of being an OSA alumni. And in a few years, you'll maybe get to see him with a drink in his hands, and it's an even better conversation. Love you. I'm sure that all of you have your own teacher stories from OSA, which hopefully will still make you smile 11 years from now. Trust me, you'll remember the jokes. But even more than that, you'll remember the teachers who showed up for you. I later went on to teach for 4 years, so I know that it's a hard job. But even on their hardest days, your teachers showed up here for you, and on your hardest days, they refused to give up on you. Let's have a round of applause for the teachers, administrators, staff, and adults in the building. To the other adults in the room, the parents, grandparents, guardians, godparents, other mothers, siblings, aunties, uncles, cousins, counselors, neighbors, thank you. Today belongs to you as much as it does to those sitting in the rows. But of course, I have a mom who calls my birthday her give birthday, so I'm very aware of the source of my accomplishments. Your children are entering into a new phase of life, and I know it might seem that as they grow and they're becoming more independent, they're leaving you, which might be the case, I did. But you might find that the nature of the dependence may just change. For me, the more distance I have from my family, the more frequent and lengthy the phone calls, The more I require input about things that I never anticipated, anything from navigating professional conflicts to instructions for cooking a turkey on Thanksgiving. Graduates, as you navigate life, remember that you have a team of people a little farther along in the journey who are as close as a phone call away and may surprise you with their knowledge and life experience. I know it can feel like you are the first person to ever go through something, which is isolating. But in reality, even if they haven't told you about it yet, most of the adults in your life were once young, they made mistakes, they survived and learned from them, and if you can learn from their mistakes, it's a lot easier than making them yourself. But if you're like me and you still insist on making a mistake, then at least you have someone to commiserate with afterwards who knows you well enough to laugh at you. My mom taught me many lessons, but the ones she repeated most often were show up and don't give up. We've already talked about some of the people who have shown up for you. It's important that you show up as well. So in no particular order, here are some of the ways I think about showing up. Show up early for everything and talk to people. Put down your phone, look people in the eyes, and offer to help. Preferably with setting up food, because that puts you first in line for leftovers, and in college I needed those. Show up when people invite you, but more importantly, show up alone when you don't know anyone. Show up when you're a little bit uncomfortable. Show up when you don't know what you're showing up to. Show up even when you only click interested on Facebook. Also click interested on everything and then actually show up to some of those things. Show up for other people, but more importantly, show up for yourself. Whatever that means to you, in whatever way you need it in that moment. And surround yourself with people who show up for you. Look to your left. Look to your right. These are your family members too. Your classmates and you have an unbreakable bond. Whether you've been at OSA since 6th grade or you transferred this year, you are a part of this community, and that means something. Art school is not a regular high school experience. You'll likely meet others who went to other art schools and will understand when you say that the movie Fame isn't too unrealistic. And yes, we did break into song in the lunchroom. And yes, my classmates killed it on the dance floor at grad night at Disneyland. Yes, I've made many friends since high school. But when I think about who I want to stand next to me at my wedding or be a part of the major milestones in my life, I think about the people who I met at this school, who have known me since I was 14 and sat with me for lunch every single day at City Center, who wiped my tears in the bathroom after breakups and did my hair and makeup before performances. Those friends have become my family. Like family, we don't always get along, but we always show up for each other. At art school, you have the distinct privilege of seeing and understanding more sides of your classmates because you get to witness their passion and build respect for them, not only as students, but as artists. Every single one of you is talented and has shown immense dedication to yourself and your art by being here and making it through this experience. Regardless of whether or not you choose to continue to pursue your art, or if you take a break and reconnect, or if you never decide to be in another performance or paint another picture again, art is a part of you. And the training that you've received here has prepared you, probably in ways you don't yet understand. I may not perform in plays anymore, but theater taught me how to stand in front of a classroom or in a committee hearing at the state legislature and speak in a way that people understand and believe me. Life will undoubtedly take you in directions you can't even begin to anticipate. When I was a junior in high school deciding where to go to college, one of my theater teachers, Mr. Graybill, sent me a Shakespeare quote. "There are more things on heaven and earth, Horatio, than dreamt of in your philosophy." I think about this quote often. My path has been anything but predictable. I had no idea that I would ever live in Louisiana, much less that I could find a home and love living in the South. I did not predict that I would be pursuing my PhD and writing a dissertation, and I could not have imagined that I would go on to found an organization that supports women in prison and become an executive director. Most of all, I couldn't have dreamed that life would lead me to write and research legislation to change laws in Louisiana and nationally to restore the rights and dignity to people during and after incarceration. Which takes me to the second part of my mom's lesson. Don't give up. There was a time that I wasn't even sure that I would graduate from high school. Before I even got to OSA, I'd already been arrested. I remember thinking and telling people that I wouldn't live to see 20 because honestly, the things I was doing at the time easily could have killed me. At OSA, in 9th grade, I was still pretty deep in my own pain and I was making terrible choices. And one of those choices led me to almost be expelled from the school. If it were not for the dedication of the founding director of OSA, Lonnie Berry, who believed that I deserved a second chance, I would not be here today. Yeah. This experience taught me that trust, once broken, is difficult to repair, but everyone loves a comeback story, and redemption is the sweetest pathway to success. Yeah. Maybe that's why I'm drawn to work in prisons, because I personally identify with people who make mistakes. But even more than that, I believe that my humanity is intricately connected to yours, and that our humanity depends on our ability to recognize the humanity in every person, not just those who agree with us, and especially those who do things that we don't agree with. We have a tendency to surround ourselves with people with similar beliefs and experiences. There is comfort and familiarity, but unfortunately, that is not how we grow. This year, I have found myself in rooms with people who vehemently disagree with me on multiple issues that are fundamental to my identity and my work. The Louisiana legislature is not often a friendly place for liberal thought. So, the first time I went to testify, I sincerely believed as a researcher that I could share numbers and facts and win support. I was wrong. I did win support, and the bill passed unanimously, but not until I stepped back and let the people I work with tell their own stories. We don't change hearts and minds with numbers. We change them with stories and empathy. We change them by getting close. Civil rights lawyer Brian Stevenson talks about getting proximate to people in prison to understand and end mass incarceration. And social scientist Brene Brown often says that people are harder to hate from up close. Graduates, as you move through the next phase of your journey, get close and let people get close to you. Find an issue that moves you or figure out what life has led you to fight for and take the lead. Surround yourself with people that inspire you, motivate you, and keep you accountable by telling you the truth, even when you don't want to hear it. Also, be the person who tells other people the truth. Live somewhere that feeds you and holds you like a firm hug. Live somewhere that motivates you, somewhere that you want to fight for, whether that's here or across the world or somewhere that you can't even imagine yet. Travel widely, and not just internationally or coastlines with pretty beaches. Go to places that you've never heard of. Some of you may know where you're going after this and have the map of your life already written. Some of you aren't looking past this weekend. That's okay. It's good to make plans or to have dreams, both short and long term. But it's more important to take every opportunity. Author of The Hero's Journey, Joseph Campbell, has said, "If you can see your path laid out in front of you, step by step, then you know that it's not your path. Your own path you make up with every step you take. That's why it's your path. And while you're moving forward on that path, don't forget to pause sometimes, to stop and appreciate your surroundings, appreciate your accomplishments. You're going to feel lonely at times. You're going to feel scared. You are going to fail. Embrace those moments. Those moments are a part of living. I'm almost 30. Things still scare me. I still fail. If what you're doing in life doesn't scare you, then you're not living to your true potential. And if you're not failing spectacularly, then you are not learning. As a great philosopher recently said, in order to live your best life, you must turn all your L's into lessons. Now go out there and fail and win and grow and learn and love each other deeply. Visit often, maybe just call your mom every once in a while. With that, it is my honor to welcome you all to a new family of OSA alumni. We are proud to have you and excited to continue to watch you grow and celebrate your success. Thank you.